Welcome to the 1457 podcast from Scotland, where golf began. I'm Stevie, your resident golf nut, your functioning golf addict, and as usual, I'm joined by Mr. Malcolm Duck of Duck's Our Lady, famous legendary.
Hello from Scotland's Golf Coast, East Lothian, the driest county in the world.
Oh.
Except not tonight, because I've got a little glass of Longmorn from Campbellton.
By the way, though, just before we even get going, I noticed that Dave was enthusing about East Lothian golf this week on social media, which I was very surprised about. Did you see that, him shouting out for East Lothian and the Golf Coast? I think there might be something wrong with him, Malcolm.
A minor lapse in judgment. Restored today as I turned up for my 8:20 tee time to find an inch of snow on all the greens at Archerfield. So,
fair enough. Yeah, are you on some kind of the opposite of dry January? You're basically on the sort of golf January where you basically play Archfield every single day in January, because that's kind of what you've been doing, isn't it?
There's a bit of again, Malcolm will find the same, I'm sure. Just as we get into April, May, my golf will shut down for 3 months, 4 months. So play as much as I can now while I can.
Away from the wife and kids, fair play, mate. And on that note, I've not even introduced you properly yet. This is Dave Kerr from Morton Golf. Golf tour operator extraordinaire. And this week's episode, we got a special guest all the way from the US of A, Mr. Andy Groh. Good evening, Andy.
Good evening, Stevie. How are you?
Good, thank you. And where are you speaking to us from in this tonight?
I am just north of Grand Rapids, Michigan tonight.
Oh, beautiful.
How's the weather there, Andy?
It's 41 degrees and rain, so very Scottish.
A bit like Ayrshire.
What's 41 degrees in Scottish money?
Sorry,
what's 41 degrees in Scottish money?
Oh, who
What's
knows?
That centigrade?
4, 5, 6.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Warmer than now.
Are you just grasping that out of the air, Dave, or is that actually sort of mathematically sound? Right, Andy.
Above freezing.
Right, well, listen, Dave, you can take us away. You can take us away when we talk to Andy. Go for it, mate.
Yeah, it's great to speak to you, Andy. Thanks very much for joining us. I guess, Malcolm had mentioned to us this wonderful journey that you had in Scotland earlier this year. And let's just start from there. Where did that idea come from?
Thanks, Dave. It's good to see you guys. Good to see Malcolm again. Good to meet you and Stevie. So this actually starts a long time ago. An idea that... not to over dramatize it or over romanticize it or anything, but back in the 80s, my dad ran the oldest golf course in Michigan, built in 1898 by Alex Smith of Carnoustie. And he was big into the hickory stuff back then, mid 80s. We'd rent out hickories and whatnot. We've kept the course, or the course was kept as true to 1898 as it could be. It's never been changed, never been lengthened, never been nothing really. So it's as original as you can get. So I worked there for a few years with him. We used to go up there in the summer times and stay with him and stuff. And that's really kind of where everything kind of got started from the historical perspective. Then in the early 90s, I joined the Coast Guard. My life picked up, life picked up and started doing its own thing, and golf became really nothing for me. When was it? When did COVID start? 2020 now, I guess it was. I came down with, I caught COVID really bad, and I happened to be sitting in the, isolating in the basement of our house, watching the Masters. I was down there for a week and a half, and really the golf bug just kind of jumped up and bit me again. And I started talking to my dad a little bit more about it, because he had stayed involved with it somewhat. He worked there for 15 years as the caretaker and whatnot. And started talking with him, and he started handing me down some of his hickories and whatnot. And I started fooling around with them and playing with them and stuff. And back in the 80s, he had gone over to Scotland twice. He and the golf course that he ran, and Musselburgh, Old Links, had created kind of a sister club relationship, because they were both in similar situations back in the 80s. As all you guys know, I'm sure, Musselburgh was not really anything at all. It was barely hanging on. Same thing with Wawashkamo, which is my dad's, the course that we used to run. My dad used to run. He read an article in one of the old USGA magazines or something. So that's where it kind of started for him. So he went over there twice. He played Musselburgh. One of their greenskeepers actually came over and worked for us, or worked for my dad for a whole summer, lived with us up on the island. and I just thought it was really cool. You know, he had some great pictures. He traveled all over up there. He played Cruden Bay, Cullen. You know, he went up into the Highlands a little bit, played down on the east side, East Lothian. And just some great pictures and stories. And he started sharing them with me more. And I was just like, you know what? I'm 51 years old. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do it with my hickories because that's really all that I have. I've got my dad's old 89 Callaway S2H2s. That's my newest set of golf clubs. And I don't really play with them. So I started playing with these hickories, started putting together sets, fixing them up and whatnot. And then last spring, my wife and I were on a little business trip down. That sounds bad. A trip down in South America. I say business trip in South America. People get the wrong idea about what type of business it is.
Yeah, do you want to explain why that's bad? What could you be doing down there, Andy? I want to, come back to the other trip.
Well,
anyway,
I can't comment on that one. But anyhow, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to go, and I just decided to do it. And Musselburgh for me was kind of the focus. That the history there. I'm a historian of all things. I love history, not just golf history, but in this instance specifically golf history. And I mean, where else are you going to go other than Scotland to live that? And things just started happening all of a sudden. And it was all of a sudden I'm looking at like October and I'm looking at dates and I'm talking to different people and I'm talking to I talked to a couple of tour agencies. And I decided I just wanted to do it on my own. And I was going to go solo. My wife stayed home. She wasn't interested in the golf or the historical aspect of it, which is awesome. I'm glad she was able to tell me that. And there was no hard feelings, no arguments, anything like that. It was she understood and I understood, and all of a sudden I've got a 2-week solo trip and I'm planning each day out. And I had heard, I'm on the now this year I'm on the board of the Society of Hickory Golfers along with Malcolm, but I've been involved with those guys because a lot of them are right here from the Grand Rapids area. They had been over to Scotland. They said, reach out to Malcolm, reach out to, here's the people to talk to. Here's some ideas of where to play. And I just started piecing everything back together. So, honestly, I don't remember what your original question was, Dave. You'll find really rapidly here that I will just start talking. I will just roll, man. So you guys,
Andy, I've got a question for you. So, like, you wanted to do that thing, and then you obviously wanted to come to Musselburgh because of the historical significance for you. But did you plan any more of the trip around that, or was it more like we'll just get out there and see what happens?
Well, so there was some fear. Yeah. There was some fear on all the social media and all the articles and the not newspapers and magazines and stuff about all the Americans coming back and just completely overwhelming all these courses with tee times and good luck, buddy. And I was talking to people on Facebook in a Scottish golf group, and they're like, oh, as a single, you'd probably be okay, but you might want to make some tee times if you're able to now. Turns out I probably would have been just fine as a single going over without tee times, but I planned everything out. I had each day planned out. I knew where I was going to be. I knew I stayed at 3 or 4 different spots. One of them was 3 nights at Ducks. So I just kind of started building it myself, and it became the time frame, the whole Prestwick event kind of played into it a little bit because I was originally looking at a couple of weeks earlier of going. And then I discovered the Prestwick 12-hole event for the 2 weeks that they were doing it. And they had 3 days where the general public could get on, play the 2 rounds, get a members lunch in between at the long table. So I kind of shifted it a little bit and I played that into it and stuff. And yeah, I just kind of pieced it together piece by piece that way and day by day.
So just for a bit of context there, that was, Andy, Prestwick trying to return to the original, kind of as close as they could to the original 12 holes that they had back when that first Open was held back in 1860.
Correct.
A lot, from what, I wasn't lucky enough to play it myself during that period, but from what I can understand, it really was, there's a lot of holes that cross each other in that routing. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think out of the 12, what are you talking about? Probably five 5 holes, you're waiting to 5 or 6. You're waiting to, and it was great the way that they did it. I don't know if you want me to get into the press week day right now, or if we're not doing it like that or whatever. But it was great because they had a caddy with you, 4 caddy basically with each group, and then they had 3 people up at the top on the highest points of the course with some what do you guys call them, lanterns. Or flashlights, whatever, and they all had 2-way radios and stuff, and it was great. I mean, they did a wonderful job. Nobody got killed, as far as I know. But yeah, the crossing. I think there's one hole. I think it's number 5. I think. Malcolm, did you play the 12?
Yeah, you go up to 1, then you come across 2, and the 7. You know what is now the 17th.
Yeah, the Alps.
That's the longest continually hill play called in golf. But also crossings, that's a word that's used in Scotland. If you go and look on the Scotland Golf Began website and look at the little video of Lanark, there are still a couple of holes there with crossings. So that actually is a golf term in Scotland.
Oh,
crossings.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which is why so why you shout 4 and you observe what's happening. And again, you go back to the old days, you teed up within 2 club lengths of the hole. Yep. So all the old Scottish courses the tees are very close to the, we didn't do health and safety then. We did common sense and move fast and good manners.
It's bloody expensive to maintain a golf course, so you keep them as small as possible, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. But no, Dave, to your point, it was crazy. The number of times there was one hole, like I was trying to get at, that I think you had to worry about at least 4 other holes crossing it. So it was. I was in the first group the first group out in the morning and then the first group out in the afternoon. So we didn't have as much encountering as we would have if we were at the tail end or in the middle. But there's still sometimes you had to wait 5-10 minutes standing there. So it was fun. It was amazing.
Which all added to the sociability. I was lucky to play it with Ken, the secretary.
Ken Goodwin,
Saturday, and with hickories. He was good enough to get his hickories out. So it was really good fun, and you really see a lot of these Scottish courses are designed for hickories. Yes. They're very, very playable.
Yep, absolutely.
Hickories are, and we haven't done much in the podcast about hickory golf, but Ollie Ellison, who does a lot of filming for Scotland Golf Began, he's got into it, and there's just something about hitting a ball with a hickory club that gives you so much satisfaction.
It does.
And for you, Dave, I know you got that little hit shot that goes just beautifully organized and slightly rightward direction, but it doesn't go quite as far as it does with the modern club. So you maybe not going to lose so many balls. Not that you do. So hickory's great.
It requires me to slow my swing down somewhat, certainly, Malcolm. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Not a lot, actually.
So, Andy, shall we just go through your itinerary here? I'm just looking at it now. So, you started off in Fife, which is obviously the place you would start, right? Obviously, I mean, it's obviously the home of golf. So, that's clearly where you would start.
It's the home of golf, and it would only go downhill from there, wouldn't it?
Tell us about your time in Fife.
Well, Fife was okay. It was definitely not the highlight of my trip, though.
Are you trying to get a move on his like a duck? Is that what it is?
No. So when I arrived in Edinburgh on, I think it was Monday, the 10th, I believe it was, transferred up to St. Andrews, and I had been awake and up for 40 hours at that point. So I knew any golf I was going to play at best was going to be just awful. So, but I wanted to get loose. So I went over and I walked and I played like 13 or 14 holes on the ball golf course, just the, chip and putt, just perfect. And it was exactly what I needed. That was nice. But my first day, I started out in St. Andrews for no other reason other than the way that the rest of the timing worked out. It wasn't the I had to start there or finish somewhere else. It was just, that's how it worked out. But it was kind of cool. It was really cool, actually. And, I showed up there. First thing I did actually was I met with Roger McStravick. I had met him online, met him through Stephen Proctor, the author, who I met this past summer at a Hickory event over 40 minutes away from here. And he and Roger are friends. So we talked about that for a little bit, and I met Roger for coffee.
Is that with those two? Is that keeping your enemies close because they're slightly rivals? A great historian.
I know they're wonderful guys to talk to. Both of them are. but yeah, I got out on the ball golf, and then I walked around town, and I did every golf history thing you could think of. Same thing. Let's see. Yeah, so that day it was basically just all golf history, and it was incredible. I mean, old young Tommy's house, the graves, and the cemetery. I mean, everywhere over there, it's like to an American, to me, the history. It's like every wall, every building's like 3 times older than my country is, than the U.S. is. And it's like, wow, man, this is cool. And there's so many little small things that have nothing to do with golf that were really incredible to be able to see, to touch. But yeah, I started. It was mostly golf centric, doing that sort of thing. And then I didn't have a plan for the second day, actually my first full day there, which was that Tuesday. But I was like, well, that was going to be my singles queue day at the old course, because I had tried to pair up with a gentleman, a local, who put us in on the ballot. He was going to sponsor me and get me out there, and he actually didn't get drawn, so we didn't get drawn for that day. So I lined up at 3:30 in the morning on Tuesday morning, and at 8:50 I was off on the first tee. And the old course was, the Open was played, had just been played there a few months prior, in addition to every ounce of history that St. Andrews has. It's just oozes from everywhere there. And it was wonderful. And I'll go on record, and I don't know that I'll regret this, but I was kind of underwhelmed by the course itself, which I had kind of been told by a few people. You kind of got to play it more than once to really start getting it. And I would agree with that 100%. Did I enjoy every step and every stroke? Absolutely. I want to go back and play again. It was, just standing on that first tee was just incredible. I mean, everything that had happened before, the RNA right behind, you guys know, everybody talks about it, right? That's what that is. And that whole experience was pretty phenomenal. And to par the first hole was like, all right, cool. That's good. I can't tell you what I scored the rest of the round, but I know I parred the first hole.
But I think, Andy, you summed that up very well, because it's a lot of links golf courses are not massively long. They're not massively complicated, but everything's just positioned in the right place. And if you stay left in the old course, by and large, you're not going to get into trouble. But once you begin to understand the lines and all the rest of it, it just grows and grows and grows on you.
Yeah.
Nae bad fae fife. Great golf course.
And then from there, Andy, it was up the road to Crail, is that right?
Yeah. Next day was Crail. I had a tee time in the morning at Crail Belcombe. Now, that course, I actually but as I was walking the first 6 or 7 holes, I just had this stupid grin on my face, because it was like, this is incredible. Sure, the old course was the old course. I was still tired that day. I had been up since 3 a.m. It was still absorbing the old course. But one thing, just to step back, is that the first day I got there and I was like, man, this is great. How can tomorrow get better? And then I get on the old course. I'm like, man, this is great. How can tomorrow? Every day I asked myself, how can this get better? And every day it got better somehow. Crail was just a riot. Crail was so much fun. To play all these courses with hickories, this is one thing that I would say on each course, maybe the old course being the exception, is that I ran into members almost actually every course I think that I was playing at. And each time again, all I had was hickories. And I took 2 sets. I only play with like 4 or 5 clubs in each set. So I took 2 sets, and I still had less than one current set, one modern set does. One was my old Park pre-1900 smooth face gutty set, all Willie Park Jr. and Sr. And then the other set was the Tom Stewart, Alex Smith set that I put together. And everybody, whenever they saw you playing with hickories, and then they found out you were an American, wow, man, it was like they appreciated me almost as much as I appreciated them talking and whatnot. So Crail was just a great time. Crail was incredible. Number 5, Hell's Hole. I was like, you just look at the green over there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going that way. I just went up the hill and let it trickle on down. I'm not a long hitter anyways. Crail was a lot of fun. And then the afternoon I played over at Anster. And that course was one of those ones that everybody's like, man, just go. It's one of those little tiny ones. Nobody really ever gives a second thought about it. I'll go back to play Anster again right now. I loved it. It was a sunset evening. Originally was only going to play 9. Ran into 2 members that were actually caddies at the old course that were Anster members. They were coming off of 9 green as I was teeing off, and they said, hey, we're playing 18 if you'd like to join us for our second 9. I did. Best move I ever made. I got the stories. Holy cow. I mean, you get, it's just, 2 25-year plus caddies from St. Andrews. They got some stories. And, but then they finished their second 9 and I kept going, and right at sunset, and I don't remember what village that is. That was to what would that be? The west there, but wow, it was just incredible. The sunset, the pictures, the scenery, the golf was great. That number, number 5,
Rockies,
the Rockies. Wow. And I'm glad I had the members with me, because the guy told me, he's like, just hit it up on 4 fairway. Don't even worry about trying to find down, hit it up on 4. And I did that. And I was looking right down onto the green, and I parred the Rockies. Sorry, I got a 4, which they're like, that's a par, dude. You're good. One thing I do want to say is all this travel that I didn't have a rental car. I did all this by public transportation, either bus, taxi, or train. I didn't really see the need. A lot of the places that we're playing were close enough that I didn't want to have to drop the $110, $120 a day for a car, especially a couple of days I wouldn't be using it at all. It wasn't worth it to me. So yeah, that was the second full day of golf. That was Crail and Anster, and then I played Ely on that Thursday, and Ely was just beautiful, just wonderful. I got to say, the weather, I was really let down because I didn't get Scottish weather over there. I got sunshine and blue skies, breezy at times until that first weekend when I played Gullen, where it was blowing 35, 40. That's the day you guys played at Renaissance there, Malcolm. But Ely, I got a sunburn. I mean, and I came in, I was overdressed. But Ely was great. I ended up walking a hole or 2 with a threesome of ladies that were playing, and just had a wonderful time and just enjoyed every step of it. And of course the World War II submarine periscope's pretty cool. You got to look through that and all that stuff. But again, playing it with hickories, I think it gives me a different perspective on the game, as most of these courses were built to be played. The next day was a really special day, though. That was Friday, and that was at Carnoustie. And
how is Carnoustie and hickories? Often described as golf's greatest test. One of the toughest open venues. That how is that with hickories? Well,
let me put it this way: is that the thing with playing with hickories is you look at the game differently. Now, number one, I don't even keep score unless I have to, unless I'm, I don't, that's not what I get the enjoyment out of. Was it cool to say I parred, the first hole at the old course? Yeah, it was, absolutely. But when all these courses were built, the history nerd in me is like, par didn't even used to exist, man. Don't worry about it. Try to play match play with yourself, which is impossible, or Stableford, keep Stableford points or something like that. But don't worry about it past that.
We'll get in a bit later on. But I mean, with hickory, Dave, handicaps, you're kind of multiplying what we call steel handicaps. And it's not steel by 1.3 or 1.5. And there's a whole discussion on hickory handicaps and how you do it. So go there just now.
Yeah, so basically you're saying there's hickory bandits. That's what you're basically saying.
Well, the bandits everywhere. And, I was in a call. One of the things I love about being in the Society Hickory Golf was with Andy. When he gets on the call, he's on there 8 o'clock in the evening on Sunday evening, and I'm in there at 1 freaking a.m. In UK time. But what it does mean is Fiona's in bed, and I can have a nice bottle of whiskey and have a few. So I remember the beginning of the call, but not always the end. But they were talking about sandbaggers. So I just said, you mean cheats? And a guy called Matt Dodds just about fell off his chair because the Americans are very nice, whereas we're maybe just a bit more black and white. There's no place for cheating in golf. And Andy's talking about hickory. It comes back to that hitting the ball. It's the camaraderie. It's the Muirfield and the Lough Ness. It's the foursomes. It's the walk with other people. It's not about stroke play, medal play. It's about camaraderie. And yes, there's competition, but we're all shite. We're all crap golfers. Even if you're a one handicapper, you're shite. You got a handicap, if you're allowed to say that word on this podcast. So it's Nicholas won a major. And he played 4 phenomenal rounds of golf, and they said, "You must be really pleased how you hit it." He said, "Yeah, I think I hit 4 good shots in the 4 days." We're never happy.
It's true.
So, hickory's just a bit different. Sorry, I interjected.
No, that's absolutely fine, and you're spot on with it. But Dave, to answer you, it was tough, but I had a great caddy. I also got a caddy at the old course too, who was just a great guy. Had a great time, great round with him. And it's great when your caddy doesn't even know what the clubs are that are in your bag. You're like, just give me the one that says Mashy. And he's like, I don't know what that's for. I was like, well, I do. So, but Carnoustie was tough. It's the fall, so the rough was not, as nasty and as thick as it would be. But the couple of nice things about hickory for me, at least, is that I don't hit the ball nearly as far. I never have been a long ball hitter anyways. But you don't hit it as far. It's really difficult to lose it. It's not going to get too far off track. And for the most part, I hit it pretty straight anyways. Again, that's, my focus has always kind of been, I'd rather be straight and accurate than be able to hit the ball 450 yards, or 250 yards or 350. That's all cool and everything, and that's very American mindset, but it's not mine. And I would rather enjoy the game, and if I can hit the ball consistently 150, 200 yards, and it goes where I want it, that's fine by me. I'm happy at the end of the hole. So,
just jumping in there with Andy with hickory and coming back to the difference, you might be standing on a long par 4 and hit a driving iron with hickory rather than hit a wood.
Yeah.
Because the wood, depending on wind or so on, it's a little bit more omnidirectional. It's not for some of the really good guys, but a driving iron, you might just hit it lower and it'll run. So again, Andy said he's playing with not that many clubs. So you've not got a 7, 8, 9 iron. You're looking at a kind of 3 irony thing, a 7 irony thing, a wedgie thing. And the wedgie things don't have flanges in the bunkers. So to try and get something with a bit of bounce, there are a few of them around, but they're pretty hard to get. So you really got to learn to get it out the bunkers by not taking it on. So hickory golf's about staying in play, a lot of running, chip and runs, a Mashy. I use a Mashy, what's a Mashy? Kind of 7 iron?
Yeah, right about a 7.
And I use that a lot. If I'm not from off the tee, but where I might use a wedge in a normal game, I might well hit a Mashy coming in because you just control it so much more easily. Because they've got really sharp edges, hickories.
Yeah,
so
they do.
There is no room for error in striking the ball. You got to hit it precisely.
Well, so 2 points to that, and just staying on the hickory specific topic, is that number one, that's the great thing about hickories. When you pull out, like I didn't play my brassy, which is basically the equivalent of a 2 or a 3 wood. That's my driver, if you will. I don't try to hit. I can't hit a hickory driver to save my life. But you stand up on the tee and you got a brassy. I never touched it during my rounds over there. I played my driving iron. Played my Mashy, and then I've got a Niblick for my bunker stuff, and then my putter. I mean, I really only played with 3 or 4 clubs the entire 2 weeks. But the great thing about hickory, and this is something that I read this somewhere at some point, is that somebody said, with the new club now, I mean, you get a head drawing your driver that's the size of a cat. If you can't hit the ball well with that, whatever, but you try to hit one that's like the size of your fist or smaller, when you hit that club, when you hit a hickory well, doesn't matter if it's wood or if it's one of the irons or whatnot, but when you hit one well, it's like, yeah, man, this is great. This is excellent. When you hit it like crap, you're like, man, it's a hickory. That's how I'm supposed to be hitting it. it changes your perspective on things. It really does.
Much higher excuse level.
Exactly.
less depression on a bad shot.
But
so tell us about when you eventually got to Musselburgh. Then, like that was obviously your sort of pilgrimage after doing Prestwick and playing in that original 12-hole competition.
It was, yeah.
You made it to Musselburgh. So what did that feel like?
Musselburgh was incredible. For the course that it is, this little 9-holer inside a horse racing track. But my God, just walking down that row, I can't remember the name. It used to be Link's Place, and I don't remember what Belcaris Road, I think is what it's called now, which is where the clubhouse is. And then right next to it's where the Honorable Companies, they were 2 down, and which ironically, the Honorable Company's old clubhouse now is a daycare center. But there's that history. It's very similar to St. Andrews in a lot of ways, but you've one road. The grandstand is where Willie Park had set up his shop at one point. My first round that I played there, though, was with Alan Tweedy. It's actually his birthday today, so happy birthday, Alan. I know this isn't live, but he met me, and I got a quick 9 in with him, with the secretary there. And that was wonderful. I mean, Mrs. Foreman's and Pandy, the Pandy bunker, and just all of it was like, wow, this is really cool, and I'm really here. It was incredible. It was incredible. And I ended up I bounced back and forth because then, like I said, I went over to Prestwick, but then I came back, and then I stayed my last 3 nights in Musselburgh proper. And I played two more rounds there. I played 27 more there. So I got 36 total at Musselburgh. And it was everything that I expected it would be. And then some. Just those grounds it was a pilgrimage. I mean, it really was. I couldn't take enough pictures. I tried to absorb every moment knowing that I wasn't going to be able to. But I tried, and photography. But I got to say one thing, though. The people that I met on this trip are what made the trip for me. To bounce back real quick, I'll try to give a 30-second version of Carnoustie, which is really difficult. But I'm an overseas member at the Carnoustie Golf Club. David Thompson, who's a past captain over there, David Mackesy, who's the historian for them, but he's also at El Diablo. I think it's El Diablo over in California here. He's their historian, and him and Bill are. I said David Thompson, Bill Thompson. Sorry. They started the Smith Society, which is to honor the Smith family, Alex and McDonald and Willie, and all their contributions to the game and whatnot. Well, anyways, they had set me up with a gentleman named Rob Harper, who was my caddy over there. Rob Harper has been a caddy at Carnoustie there for 33 plus years. Just a great guy. Just one of the nicest people that I think I've ever met. Well, he set me up with Trevor Williamson, who is the grandson of Robert Simpson. Mm-hmm. And Trevor walked the 18 holes with me. And minus 3 or 4 holes where he disappeared for a little bit. But then he showed up on the 11th tee with one of his grandpa's original long nose clubs and an 1830s, 1840s original feathery golf ball. And he built a sand tee on the tee for me. Of course, I didn't strike the ball, but we got some good poses and whatnot. But that experience, I didn't do anything for that other than just talk to people. And they recognized and they appreciated my appreciation for history and for the game and for hickory, especially. So Rob goes out of his way and sets up this thing. And then we walk the whole, he walks with us the whole course. Then afterwards we jump in his car and he takes me to the cemetery. He takes me past where the Smith family was born, where the boys were born and where the Smith family was raised. And it was that stuff that made that trip. It was certainly the history and being able to say, yeah, I played at Carnoustie. But if you took all that history part, or if you took all the people part of it away, it would lose so much of what I got to experience. And you guys are just Malcolm, Fiona at Ducks. Oh my God. Like everything, it lived up to everything that I saw on YouTube and on all the podcasts and everything. Just a wonderful experience. I stayed at the Ship Inn in Musselburgh as well. Just a great place. So
no, it's one of those things. Just try and convince some of our clients to create some gaps in their itineraries when they come to Scotland, because it's the gaps where you bump into people and you meet people and things happen that take you in directions that you never expected you would go in, and you have some of the most amazing experiences. So again, if it sounds counterintuitive, but we always try and stress to our clients the importance of not completely packing those itineraries with 36 whole days in and out of buses, rushing from place to place. Because you need to take that time to really, soak it up and meet people and have those experiences that you maybe weren't expecting to have.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to echo what Dave says there, because Andy, when you came, you said about you were playing Carnoustie, and it was Renaissance, because we had a bunch of the leaders of hickory golfers from throughout Europe coming, and when you came, we were having a meeting, and you just bundled right into all of them, chatting, talking, and it was fantastic. But going way back to the beginning, and you're talking about your dad and that golf course, the guy who came to set it up was a guy from Carnoustie, was he not?
Alex Smith, yep.
So it's amazing, and again, might be for another podcast another time, and it's amazing how many Scottish pros came across from Carnoustie and North Berwick, and I think Ayrshire, but certainly very much from Big Pod from Carnoustie and some North Berwick and so on, who came across to set up golf course. I mean, there's one tenement block in North Berwick where there are two major winners. Now, again, I need to go and do my research, but at Augusta at the Masters, where the guy hits the first ball, that first guy to do that was a Scot.
Really?
Who was just a legend in golf. I mean, he was, I can't remember his name, but they've just had the golf club out of North Berwick. What's the wee one out? The Tintagel Club. They're just on their big anniversaries, and he was a member of that club. So this history between Scotland and America in golf goes back so long.
It does. I wish we could have held on to the foundation of it a little bit better than we have over here. But it's the whole Carnoustie thing with Alex Smith and McDonald Smith and Willie Smith. I mean, Alex Smith came over and won the U.S. Open 1906, 1910. Mac won. I don't remember the years Mac won, but it just the whole Carnoustie crew was just an invasion. It was a Scottish invasion of the U.S. with golf, and thank God that they did, because they gave us
a lot of the setups came from there. Muirfield Carnoustie, what did you find hard?
Well, I did not play Muirfield. No, I didn't play.
Oh, no, okay.
I played that day. I did. So I did you guys had a little stay and play package where I did 3 nights and 3 rounds of golf. So I did Gullin 3, which was phenomenal with hickories. And that day was blowing like crazy. And that once you get up on top of Gullin Hill, holy cow, man, it was like, wow. It was like lean into the wind type of stiff breeze. And you guys would probably just laugh because you're like, just a slight breeze or whatever. But even the starter was saying, well, have fun out there with your hickories. And I did. And I tell you what, learning to play that low ball, which it's so much fun being able to watch this stuff roll. And, but yeah, I played Gullin 3. But Dunbar was on that Monday after Gullin. I played Dunbar, which was just a riot. Dunbar is one of my favorite courses now that I've ever set foot on. It was just spectacular. But when I came back, I had set up, again, this is another one of those circumstances where all I did was I sent an email to the secretary at Muirfield at the Honorable Company. And I said, hey, I'm going to be over there. I'd love to play Muirfield, but it's not going to work out with the days and for the visitors and whatnot. And they said, oh yeah, we can, let's set you up. Robin Dow, one of our past captains, he loves talking history here. So he's like, we'll meet you. How about you meet at 4:30 that afternoon? And cool. So I did it on the way back and got a 2.5 hours with Robin in the clubhouse.
Great guy.
Wonderful guy. Just what a character. I mean, that whole experience, stepping foot into that clubhouse and seeing the silver club and the actual original silver club, and it was like, wow, man, this is like, wow. And
given to them by Edinburgh Council.
Yes. Yep. And that's what I love about the history of this game is that, the only reason that it happened was because there was a silver bow or a silver arrow that was originally awarded to the archers. And then the golfers they were like, well, how come we don't get something? How come we don't get so they asked for it, and the council approved the silver club to honor their champions and whatnot. But
John Rattery in the 1700s, and he was on the side of Bonnie Prince Charlie, so he actually held the arrow and because he was an archer who were the guards of the monarch, and the club. He was the first guy to hold both, but he got on the wrong side of the English king, so he ended up in the Tower of London and was going to get disposed of. But of course he was an honourable company member, so he had friends in high places, so they managed to liberate him and get him back for the Sunday afternoon foursomes, probably at Leith Links. So there's actually a statue of John Rattery down in Leith Links, which is where the honourable company worked.
Yeah, I wanted to go there. I couldn't. I desperately tried when I was in Musselburgh to get over there. The last 3 nights or 3 afternoons I was there, it just didn't work out. I wanted to be able to walk those original 5 holes, I think, and the statue and the carvings, the document or the monument stuff that they have there looks just cool for a history nerd, So. But then Robin, I started walking back out the gate, and he asked, he's like, "Oh, where's your car at?" I said, "Oh, I'm taking the bus." He's like, "I'll give you a ride home. I'll give you a ride." And that was when I was staying at Ducks. He's like, "I'll give you a ride. Where are you staying?" I'm like, he didn't even know where I was staying at first. He just offered a ride. I'm like, "Oh, I'm at Ducks." He's like, "I'll going right past there and drop you off." So got an extra 20 minutes in the car with him or whatever.
So time's kind of running along. We talked about Hickory a little bit. So you've just new on to the Society of Hickory Golfers board. So just very quick about it and that, because more and more people are playing Hickory. And Dave, we've talked about Hickory and maybe how do we get the tour operators doing a few things like that. Just a little minute on that. There is a thing called the Society of Hickory Golfers, which is a worldwide organization. People think it's American, but it's been populated by American. But current news, we're formed a SOHG Europe, and we're trying to do Asia Pacific and the Americas. So go and have a look at that on the website. And it's a great vehicle to meet people. Like you said, you were told about different people in different places to go, because a lot of the guys who've been on this podcast are members of I've played Hickory. But also, you're one of the members of the 1457 Society.
I am. I believe I'm the first international member.
I think you are, and you're the first on the podcast.
Oh,
so
wow.
What does the 1457 Society? We're very new, so it's interesting. What does it mean to you, and what did it do for you, and what should it be doing for you?
I think that what it does for me and what it meant for me is that it was it's like, some people don't really get into joining clubs or societies or anything like that. But to me, it's a way to number one, you're surrounding yourself then with like-minded people. Maybe they're not as much into the history. Maybe it's more of just the game itself and being able to play these great courses, whether it's the big name ones or the small name ones, the little guys. But the society was a way for me to hook up with, to meet up with, whether it was virtually initially or, in person, once I finally made it over there. But it's a great inlet into discovering Scotland stuff. There's been people on there messaging me saying, "Hey, can you help me out? I'm from Florida and I've never been to Scotland before. Can you give me some tips?" And I think that's what part of the intent you guys had was starting that was Scotland travel, Scotland golf travel, and how's it accessible for people? How does the history part of the golf work into it? How does any part of what you like about the golf, how does that work into it? But it's about I desperately wish I could have played at any of the events last year, and I wish I could play at some of the events coming up this year. I won't be able to do either. Which is really a bummer for me, but it is what it is. So I think it comes back to the people again, Malcolm. It really does. It comes down to the people and a good way to get contacts and meet the people that are going to help give you these experiences. Maybe not directly, but it's somebody to talk to, and that's the other thing too. I've talked to a couple of guys on the phone one guy called and I was like, man, I'll talk like you guys just discovered. I'll talk for forever about each day. We were on the phone for almost 2 hours. He's like, hey man, I got to go now. My wife's looking at me, but it's sharing your experiences. It's sharing and helping to develop and come up with an idea of how you can do something yourself, and putting you in touch with the people that can do it. The locals are the best people to go to. So
all you guys listening, please go to the 1457 Society and click there and join. £49. We've got a bunch of great events. Sure, you can't all play with them, but as Andy says, you can meet a lot of people and make a lot of contacts. And also check out Scotland Where Golf Began, our sister site, because that's where you'll find the films and the little videos of the golf clubs, the trails, where to stay, drink whiskey, so on and so forth, and all the rest of it. So we normally do we plug for both those. We're just going to tie those in. And are you coming back?
Yeah, there's no question. I will be back. When is the question, but there's no question that I will be back. And I got to tackle the Highlands. I got to tackle the West Side. I got to get some of the islands. I got to get to some of those really unique ones that. But I really enjoy the small, lesser known courses. That was the Scotland Where Golf Began website. And the Scotland's Gulf Coast website are where I got a lot of my ideas. The courses I'd never heard of, and most Americans probably haven't. And they will hands down beat almost every single course that you can play over here in the States easily, and for like £40 too. I mean, come on, you're dropping $400 or $500 to be able to play the quality that you guys have over there. So I loved it.
And then you did take my wife away in a drive.
No,
as well,
I did not do that. That was not.
Do you want us to stop recording?
Cut.
No, it's just one of the things. And again, it's what Dave said. It's going back to what Dave said. We put little things in. So Andy was moving from A to B. So he was doing something. So Fiona just dropped his stuff off from one accommodation to the next. And again, we have the John Muir Way. That happens quite a lot. And that kind of thing, it's not hard people to do. It's a friendly nation. So if you are planning your own trip, come through us, but also on Scotland Where Golf Began's website, you'll see some really good Scottish tour operators, including Dave and some of the guys. So go use them and talk to us.
You can't have paid him enough, Malcolm, because he brought her back, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was impressed with when she drove that all right.
I am getting it off Fiona next time.
You got an alibi.
There was a very funny story, and I won't say who it was, but this guy's very, very senior in broadcasting in America. And there was a very senior lady who commentates in America who's not unknown to Robin Dow, who played pretty high-level golf. And I'd finished talking to the Sky guys, and this guy had been their major host, and we're chatting away. And I said to this lady whose name I almost mentioned, "Oh, was he here?" And they phoned them up, and he said, "Yeah, I'm just getting a lift back with this gorgeous girl. I think see whether I can get in there or not." And I'm on the end of the phone. It's my wife giving me the lift back. Absolutely brilliant. The world of golf. It's a great community, and it's hard to beat.
Absolutely.
And don't tell Malcolm any of your secrets. That's Andy, that was brilliant. That's great to hear about your travails and your travels when you visit us. And I hope you come on again when you get to do your next trip and tell us all about that.
Oh, I absolutely will. I really appreciated the opportunity to do this. It's been great meeting you guys and talking to you. Malcolm, it's been good to see you again. And I look forward to getting back across the pond as quick as I can, because you guys have an amazing place over there. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Cheers, Andy.
Cheers.
Brilliant.